A few more
questions. No, the red button means it's on. I hate that. It's on. The red button is on.
Oh wait, is it going right now?
Yeah.
Oh crap! Did you press start then?
I just did.
Okay, let's start then. Okay. What's the funniest thing you've made someone do?
God. I can think, like, all that comes to mind when somebody asks me, like, what's the most, is all, like, the really bad moments. I'm trying to think of, like, my friend acting gay was really funny. I had somebody act like they were a Victoria's Secret model. That was hilarious. Yeah, that was hilarious. I had somebody give someone a lap dance. That was hilarious.
Guy?
It was awesome. Oh, that was a really good one.
Oh god, that'd be so terrible.
It was so funny. It was hilarious. Yeah, what else have I had somebody do? That one was funny. Yeah, I'm gonna have to actually say the time I had my friend Jonah pretend that he was a knight and he had to slay a dragon, which was a water ball in my hand, like a gallon jug, and it was in a Roski room, so it's small. I had like a good 6 people in there, and then plus myself and Jonah and a bunch of like longboards, because it was like 1 o'clock at night. I was longboarding with my friend Brian, and Jonah's like, dude, this girl that's in your psych class said that she met this guy that said he was a hypnotist today. And I was like, Logan's a hypnotist, and we think it's you. And I was like, yeah, that probably was me. Really low chances of meeting somebody else, otherwise that's cool. And so I went over at like 1 o'clock in the morning and did that. They were stoned out of their minds. Go figure. Roski, right? And so held the water jug up, and he just punches it, falls onto me. Oh my god, that was a pretty funny one. And I had another time where I told somebody that they were some actor, can't remember right now, but they said they were like, well, I was like, yeah, perform something for us, and having them think that they were this actor, perform something that this actor would do. And it was Jim Carrey, I think. Jim Carrey? Somebody like something like that. Anyway, they were a somewhat funnier actor, older, and he said, well, I can't. So I'm like, oh well, shit, what do I do from there? And so I was like, well, why can't you? And he's like, well, I need a suit. I need my rhinoceros suit. Okay. I grab a blanket and I say, this is a rhinoceros suit. Here's your rhinoceros suit.
It's Jim Carrey. It's Ace Ventura.
Yeah. Jim Carrey of Ace Ventura. And all he did was he did the stance with the blanket on him, and then he did this. That was it. But everyone started clapping afterwards, and he was super happy and excited that he did this with the rhino suit on, which was actually a blanket. That was pretty funny. Oh, yeah, that was pretty funny. That's probably like the funnier ones I've ever had.
Out of curiosity, if somebody's really high and you put them under hypnosis, does that change anything?
Well, the research on it, personal and like professional research, is that alcohol makes it much harder to hypnotize somebody.
I can see that actually.
Weed makes it a lot easier to hypnotize somebody.
I see that as well.
Exactly. Like, alcohol, somebody's like, oh, I don't actually have the ability to focus right now.
Right.
Weed, it's the opposite, where they're becoming focused, and then change focus, and then change focus, but they can't multi-focus. Versus blurring everything, it's making it more intense. Which is why in Roski, when I hypnotized my friend Jonah, why he might have been so into it. I didn't say that he had an accent, and I didn't say that he needed to pretend that he was wearing armor or anything like that, or that he really needed to attack the dragon. But he did, because it came off that much more intensely for him. So. Okay.
So, what are your personal ethics on hypnosis?
Well, I've never asked somebody to kill themselves. I think it's fine to change somebody's sexuality. I think that's funny. I think it's completely fine to have a donkey. I know some people are like, well, is hypnosis real? Is it not real? I think it's fine to kind of lie to somebody. Because when somebody says, is hypnosis real? The answer is yes. When somebody says, did hypnosis work on person X? Because the hypnosis is more on like a scale from like, let's say it was 0 to 100%. 100% means they are so deep in hypnosis, I can ask them to do anything I want, and they'll probably do it. 0 being I haven't even talked to them ever in my life. Yeah, I think so. I'm okay with like kind of lying to somebody. If somebody's like, well, did you hypnotize this person? If I know like, yeah, they actually weren't like that into it, which is why I wasn't giving them so many commands, I can still say, yeah, they were totally into it. I mean, it builds it up for more from the audience perspective. Because like as a stage hypnotist, it's important to like for hypnotism to be working on people, but it's more important to be pleasing an audience. Audience is fueling everything. I know I've had some ethical problems. Well, like I wasn't like for one, it was the person I told to say 69 to a problem every time. She was in a muscle competition, and I had her, all of them, like, you know, I was like, flex, show off your like calf muscles. Feel free to lift up your pants to show off your calf muscles. And she did that. And I say, okay, everyone, like, show off your pecs, except for you. You don't have to show off your pecs. You're a girl. And she was a girl. And then I said that, and then 2 of the guys that were there just ripped off their shirts. They were like, oh. And then so she looked at them and looked back and started taking off her shirt. And I was like, no, keep your shirt on. That was a little bit too far for me because I didn't like know beforehand if she was okay with that. I mean, there are definitely some social limiters that will define if it's okay or not, and I have to get somebody's express permission to do that. Like for somebody to take off their shirt or something along those lines.
So most people will just take their clothes off, no problem?
Have you ever had a problem taking your own clothes off?
Well, in private, no.
Yeah, in private, no. Well, let's say I told you there's nobody around.
Okay.
Imagine you're in a private room and you don't see anybody else. For one, I don't have anything with I have nothing wrong with somebody forgetting their name. I do think it's not okay to give them their name back. I always do that, but for like
So they could forget their name forever?
No, depending. I've never tried it, and it would be unethical in research to try it. But people are okay with not remembering their name. I've had somebody, well, I bet if you brought somebody out of it completely, and you didn't say necessarily give them their name back, they wouldn't remember it for a while, probably until they slept the next time. Sleeping tends to make a lot of the effects go away. Now, let's say you kept doing this to somebody.
Why is that? You finish what you're saying then.
Let's say you kept saying this to somebody. There is evidence that if you keep repeating a command to somebody in hypnosis, that it will tend to become a truth. It'll be completely installed into their mind. So let's say I finally said that somebody's name, instead of your name being Nick, I'm going to say it's Yellow. Eventually, you'll start responding to Yellow and not Nick. If, let's say, I had twice a week over a month, 8 times of this, you might start only responding to Yellow.
It makes sense, though, too. Because, like, you know, just... You can, if you tell yourself a lie over and over again to yourself, you'll start to believe it.
Which I actually think is kind of cool, that people can forget their names. Because I know, when is it? Like in the 1800s, there's a philosopher that kind of said that kind of studied the concept of naming people and how our name imbues our self. And when we consider our name, it is the absolute perfect form of ourself. That's what this guy thought.
It's like an image of yourself.
Yeah, that is us, but we can I can make you forget that.
So your identity, just erase your identity.
It gets rid of your name. I don't know if it gets rid of your identity, but your name has nothing to do with your true identity. That much I know because of that. Because your unconscious mind isn't willing to commit suicide, but it's willing to get rid of your name.
I've always wondered, like if I'd look at my friends the same way if they were named
differently. Yeah. I don't think so. I think, well, just because every letter in somebody's word and like every letter within a word is going to change that complete abstract thought of the word. And maybe somebody might be slightly different, but then again, maybe not. It just depends on how somebody imprints themselves.
Right.
I guess. I don't know. For ethics, there's that. If somebody's ever like, I like to call it a bad trip, but because it happens. Let's say I don't remember to tell somebody to go into a happy place. And this girl Josie, she was a great subject. What I did was, she was hilarious. I had her dancing with somebody, and she was a horrible dancer. I had her act like a transformer. It was hilarious. Yeah, right. After the, I think it was the dancing piece, I put her down on the ground, and I started talking to everybody else to see what they thought, and it was funny. Ha ha ha. They were dancing with random people. And then I noticed a couple basic twitches in her ankle, and it was her wrist. Where was it? It was, what part of her? I think it was right here. It was a couple basic twitches and right here. No, and a little bit right here. Now I'm thinking about it. Some really small stuff. Nobody else had really noticed it, but I was talking, I saw that, brought her out of it as fast as I could. Sat her in the chair, made her go into a really happy place from right there, so on and so forth. I later asked her in privacy what was going on at that point in time, what she remembered. And I actually told her that she would remember that. And then what she remembered is being in a very dark street underneath a light and being very alone and very scared and having a fear of somebody coming out to rape her or molest her at that time. And she was very cold and felt like she couldn't move at all. She was trapped in this bad situation. That's all that was the absolute, her mind or imagination was completely and utterly trapped in that one world, it was happening, that was an actual memory at the time. Now that was probably because she was associating being on the ground, on a hard ground that was kind of cold at the time, and she was associating those two together, which probably brought about her imagination, I think, of that. Now I think it would have been unethical for me to just leave her there. But that also comes why I'm technically certified to do this, is because I need to look at micro expressions like that to avoid bad things from happening.
So when you tell me their names right now, is that ethical?
You'll have no way of knowing who these people are.
Okay.
Yeah. And most people are pretty much fine with a lot of things like this.
Well, to be honest, I was thinking, some of the stuff is really interesting, so I was thinking about doing something on YouTube and then putting it on my blog.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I'd be fine with that.
Okay.
Yeah. I'd just say for, the girl, that I might, eliminate, her name if you can, maybe.
I don't know how to do that.
Yeah. You'd probably be fine.
Okay.
Yeah. Nobody can really associate to her. But, and it's not, necessarily a bad thing. That makes sense. I have a feeling that if most people were put into that situation, hard, you can't move. You can try to move, but you can't. You're in your body's in a relaxed state, but your mind is still going.
Right.
You're cold. You feel isolated.
Mm-hmm.
I would feel that. I would feel terrified. And that's what...
Yeah. I can imagine.
I don't know of anybody that would be that sounds great. I'd love to be isolated, cold, and terrified.
Yeah.
No. You don't want that. So, her emotion, it made sense at the time. Yeah.
So, go on.
Yeah, that's really about it. And then afterwards, because of that, I definitely I hypnotized her again and said that she was going to feel awesome. And it was kind of funny. I told her that she was going to sleep really well, and she ended up sleeping 12 hours that night. And it was just it was she was I woke her up, and then she literally 10 seconds fell asleep in a car, and then slept the entire way there. They had to basically lift her up out of the car to get her, and from what they told me, I'm pretty certain, give or take, bad memory, they she was completely out of it, tired, and then she just slept.
I guess that brings up what I asked before, why does sleeping
why does sleeping get rid of it?
Yeah.
I don't know. I wish I did. I don't know anything I haven't looked at that. Why does sleeping tend to get rid of things? I know just time does tend to get rid of things. what was his name? Somebody that I hypnotized last year sometime. I told him every time somebody says the word Dell, I had a Dell computer by. I was like, Dell, okay. Anytime I say the word Dell, you'll say, I lost my belly button. It's one of my personal favorites. So there's that. And then it generalized to whenever anybody says the word Dell. And for literally only like the next 5 to 10 minutes, anytime somebody said Dell, like yelled it, whispered it, any way, in shape or form, he would say, I lost my belly button. And at first he was like, that's weird. Why did I say that? And then eventually he realized it, and he was literally trying to cover up his mouth, walking away from people, and they were saying, Dell. But eventually it went away in like 5 to 10 minutes. I think those are called post-hypnotic suggestions. Mm-hmm. Is when you bring somebody out of it, but while they're in hypnosis, you throw one of those at them. And I mean, it's kind of funny. Like, my personal favorite toy is, I always carry it with me. It's a keychain, and it's a little laser gun that makes that sound. It's red. Yeah, it's kind of fun. I recently had a post-hypnotic suggestion to people that if I said, well, if they heard this sound, they would say, what the fuck? Every time. And so I could, whenever somebody was like arguing with me, I would just, and they would say that for me, which is kind of funny.
Yeah, it's like a soundboard.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it was hilarious. I also had somebody, every time somebody trolled me, and I had somebody say the word troll.
That's awesome.
It's kind of funny. The reason I like to do post-hypnotic suggestion with this is because only I can activate this sound. Nobody else can. Now let's say I use the word, same people, every time I or somebody else said the word blue, they would say hallelujah and lift their arms up. Every time person B heard the word hallelujah, they would say, oh Lord. Every time some person C heard the word oh Lordy, they would say, the knife is sharp. Every time person D heard knife, they would say, I lost my belly button. Go. People were yelling blue everywhere, and the combination kept going through. It was hilarious. Now, in that case, person... yeah, it was great. But it was recently, Bratz and Beretta, not like too recently, like a month maybe, month or two. Bratz and Beretta, they came out with a thing about hypnosis, and like they both hypnotized each other for a year, and I don't want, spoiler alerts, so on and so forth. It's hilarious. And one of the things they do is they get into it like a chain, and they chain each other. Well, one of them, my friends, person B, they had watched it, and I had already hypnotized them before. And so once I said blue, person A, hallelujah, person B, oh, they went, oh Lordy, fuck, because they knew what was about to happen. And the chain went through, and then someone said blue, and it had to happen again. And they said blue, and it had to happen again. Every time. Now, in this case, person 3 hadn't actually been, they hadn't been very under. They were, for one, they're more of like the abstract versus physical, whereas the other 3 tended to be very physical. And so, in that person, I felt like they were playing along with it, which is really nice. Which is why when we say donkey, pretty certain the term's donkey. For some reason, it might be mule. It's some kind of equine. It's not a horse, I feel. Anyway, they were just kind of more playing along with it. And the way you can test that is with post-hypnotic suggestions. It took them, let's say, they stopped saying it after, let's say, 5 minutes afterwards. Where everybody else was still pretty if you said blue, they were going to say the next part of the pattern.
Yeah.
And I know this is a pretty fun one. A good example, I said, so all 4 of them, they would say what the fuck every time. And so I had person 3 lost that command after about 7 minutes. They stopped. So, okay. But the other 3 would kept going. And then I had to leave them there after about, let's say, 15 minutes. I left. The next day, I came up to them. And I was like, just testing. And the word came to mind. They didn't feel like they didn't say it, but the word combination came to mind. Which, let's say I get the opportunity to hypnotize them again, I'm going to reinforce that. Which it might make it more permanent.
Is that ethical?
Is that ethical? I think it's funny.
What if you like made somebody say I love myself every time they wake up in the morning or something, and every time they go, like, I don't know, wouldn't that be a happy thing?
That would be a great thing. Every time you wake up you say I love myself, that'd be awesome. But would it be funny? The difference between stage hypnotism and hypnotherapy.
Yeah.
Are you focusing on helping the person or making an audience laugh? I lost my belly button. Making your workplace a much better atmosphere for yourself. Yeah. So, I mean, pick as you choose. I always like to give people like a confidence booster at the end of hypnosis, just kind of like a personal thing, but you know.
So what do you think hypnosis says about reality and how we experience reality when we're conscious?
Well, I definitely feel like people have a sense of their true selves, but I think that's only formed by different parts. I am kind of a fan of the concept of, the sum of the parts creates something greater than the whole, so on and so forth. You know that term? I think, because I only say that because when you put somebody, let's say you take somebody out of doing nothing into acting like something, they might only be activating a schema, but I feel like they keep returning to something. So I do think that people might have a higher sense of just themselves. Or maybe I think maybe we are just a sense of different combinations of things. And that's all that we are. Completely naturalistic concept. We are made by what we've experienced. I definitely think that's true. We're made by what we've experienced. There's no way we can ever do something different in that sense. So take that as you will. I also think that there could be some really cool experimental stuff with that. Like the name thing. People are okay with forgetting their name. Or remembering their name as something else. People are okay with dancing like chickens. People are okay with taking their clothes off. People are okay with lying. People are okay with forgetting stuff. Like anniversaries. Or honeymoons. People are okay with forgetting their loved ones' names. People are okay with smelling stuff that's weird.
That's just guys.
So, yeah, I mean, I think there's definitely a sense to people that maybe they are constantly returning to something, but that something that they keep returning to is just a combination of, or a culmination of memories.
So do you think people are acting essentially? There's a unconscious or something, and I don't know, and then we're actually performing our personalities. Like maybe the things I relate so much with myself, like I'm from Billings, Montana, my name is Nick, I'm a finance English major, all these things, is that just a performance? Is that really who I am? Should I even associate me with those things? Or is that just me trying to associate with I don't even know. But do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. Are we like a kind of like a sense of association? Or are we just acting out what we think those associations mean? The abstract representation idea again. That schema is being activated. I would say yeah, we're acting a lot. I can't think of an immediate situation where we aren't. Let's say, well, the all-time answer, act or you are most yourself when you're alone in a room. And let's.
Okay. Well.
But now let's take this. A lot of people say, I don't normally do this, but I dance in my room or I sing in the shower when I think I'm alone. But it's normally tending to be like they're alone and they know they're by themselves and they get to do these outbursts. But if that does, it does seem to be true for a lot of people. So maybe there's a schema that when we're alone, we should sing in showers. Or when we're alone, we should, dance to NSYNC. I've done it. I love Justin Timberlake. What of it? I think that's a schema within itself. If you can stereotype the concept, it becomes a schema. Like, it helps define itself that way. I think...
So we're putting on a performance for ourselves.
Yeah. Why not? If that gives us a sense of happiness, like, that idea is accompanied with I'm being myself, which obviously in our culture, being I am myself individual is kind of a big deal. Like, we get a lot of pleasure from that. Hipster movement represent. So that sense of individualism that is associated with that particular concept amounts to pleasure. So when we're alone, singing in the shower, we're like, I'm an individual, and I'm doing my individual thing. Though that stereotype exists probably for a lot of people. I've heard it from tons of people who've tried it. Yeah.
So, like, if you said, if they were in hypnosis, act like yourself when you're by yourself.
I feel like people would act differently. Depending.
So they are kind of putting on a performance for themselves.
Yeah. I should try that. That'd be a funny one. Though, depending on personality types, I feel like some people wouldn't do that.
That's true, yeah.
I feel like some people actually might have, like, a sense of subconscious, non-conscious, pick your word, where...
I'm sure there's a distinction. I just don't know.
Oh, there's an absolute distinction. I just don't know which one I should say that would be more appropriate. And I'm not absolutely certain on which, so I just say pick. Yeah, I feel like somebody out there would definitely say, no, I will not do that. But then again, I can ask somebody to be Jim Carrey and they might be completely appalled to that. Like, you never know when you're going to find something absolutely deep-seated inside of a person. Yeah. Which, that's always a big part of hypnosis, right?
It's like similar to like something like postmodernism or deconstruction. Is you can influence the images and how people should act, and maybe if you did that, people would act differently. Like, it's just a matter of, because the ideas we have now are so built into us, but if you can start shifting those ideas, and the new ideas would be axiomatic or tacit. Like, the rules that are tacit now can change.
Like, the concrete ideas now aren't. It's more like a liquid concrete still. You can change them. You can morph them a little bit.
But it does kind of, like, what about, like, death row, like, inmates? Like, can you completely change a person? Like...
into something absolutely different from themselves.
Are they different people now? Like, are they completely... I don't know.
Oh, okay. Would it be possible to completely... Have you seen Clockwork Orange?
Yeah.
That's a perfect example.
That's
like,
true.
you're going to...
But, like, he's just... he's acting. Like...
Yeah, he's trying to do something, but he's getting, like... He can't do it.
Responses.
That's, like, a complete... somewhere between cognitive and behaviorism. somewhere between there, because he's trying to do it but he can't, and then that pain trains him not to, so he just avoids it altogether, which would be the behavior part. The original part would be cognitive based, I suppose. But is he a completely changed person? Well, he might be. He acts like it.
I think he's just acting.
I think he's the same person.
Because at the end of the movie,
he's completely changed. But that's after. Well, he's back to himself.
He took it off.
Yeah.
He took it off.
Yeah. He's the same person by the end. Same ultra violent
Because
concept.
I think he's just acting good, and I think that's one of the things the book raises is like, if you're just acting good, or movie, if you're just acting good, are you really good?
Yeah. Looks good too, though.
I haven't read it.
Yeah.
Have you heard of Slaughterhouse-Five or read it?
Oh, I haven't. I've heard of it. Haven't read it. Oh, I want to.
I'm thinking about doing this paper on that, and like he becomes unstuck in time, so he's just like going through different like stages of his life out of order.
Huh.
And so like I wonder what that would do to your personality. Like,
if you could, I guess, does he experience his different parts of his personality, or like how does that work?
well, I need to reread it. No, it's really weird.
Yeah.
And I guess you could argue because he was like in the bombing of Dresden, which was like according to the book worse than like Hiroshima, Nagasaki, and like maybe the rest of the book is just him like in a psychosis or something.
Yeah, something along those lines. Yeah, some post-traumatic stress going on, I imagine.
Yeah.
God. Yeah, I would say people act a lot. Mainly, like this interview. Let's say that, like, I might not always lean forward like this. I know I don't lean forward like this in class. I tend to lean back.
I do both.
Yeah, I do both. But when I lean forward, I also tend to do this.
Means you're more attentive.
You'd think so. I don't know. I think, yeah. I mean, we have schemas attached to things. We're pretty certain of that.
What's the definition of a schema, real quick?
Oh, God. Don't quote me on it, but I'm pretty certain like, the idea of a schema would be, like, the cafeteria example. Hola! Hey, man. How's it going?
We're doing an interview with you.
But, like, schema would be, like, if you think of a cafeteria, like, just, like, let's just say the word cafeteria. If you were to walk into a cafeteria, you're going to expect some people, some tables, food that maybe you're not going to be absolutely pleased with, but you can eat it. Maybe you're going to be looking for a place where to put all of your dishes. Like there's a designated place and you might not have to leave it. There's certain things you'll be looking for like that. Like where do I get the majority of the food and where do I go sit? There's like a separation between those two. That's a schema, like that entire concept.
It's an idea?
Yeah. Kinda. It's when you're put into a situation you expect things. Like, if I said bathroom, what do you think of in a bathroom?
Toilet?
Yeah, toilet. Maybe a sink, toothpaste, toothbrush.
Right.
Yeah.
So why do you think the human mind is hackable?
I think it's... Well, I feel like saying hackable isn't quite accurate. I would say that I don't know like why hypnosis is available. Like, let's take an evolutionary standpoint. Maybe hypnosis as like a stage performance or as a therapy, it's only come around because something evolutionary wise existed. And then somebody saw that and is using that to their advantage to do this. But you would think, from like an evolutionary standpoint purely, that maybe this wouldn't be the best of ideas for an evolution, just because you can tell somebody to do something that they might regret a little bit. Let's say that. Or, so I don't know why that would happen evolutionarily. Somebody could find a reason, but I think, well, definitely, like, I don't know. It's hard to say why hypnosis can happen. It does happen. That much I can say. God, yeah. Yeah, I don't have like an absolute reason like why a human would have that exist. But I do like the idea of we have perceptions, we have a filter, and then we have that lesser, more important part. I feel like those parts exist, and because of that, it works. Kind of like a discovery of a tool.
Right.
Except it's words, some minor touching.
I'm trying to think of like where I want to go with this question, but I can't think of anything more.
Yeah, it's hard to say. Well, I know like one is like I know in the beginning I didn't answer it, I guess completely, is how does hypnosis happen? And there's different explanations. One that I currently like to explain it best with is you have, your big pool, filter, smaller thing. The big pool in hypnosis is, let's say, an easy induction is you're going to tell somebody, this would be it's called a pre-induction. You're going to tell somebody about hypnosis.
Right.
You're going to give them a ton of information that they can't actually completely process. The idea with that is that you're filling up that first tank just with this tons of complicated information. And I feel like when you give somebody a higher, you should probably try to remember this. So you're really trying to make that filter go. It's like, oh my god, you're stressing them out.
Isn't there denial of service or
yeah,
hackers will overload
yeah, you're just throwing all this information there. Yeah, I mean that's why oh my god, what is it, the key code or something like that, whenever you have to enter in 2 randomly generated words and it's a filter to avoid people from throwing so much information.
I think I know where where I can go with this, because I've heard humans, their person or their how they look at the world is you can consider it a software program, where each of us start off with the same software program. So I'm running Windows. and also computers, we get viruses, and we have Norris antivirus as well, and
oh, you use Norris? Should get some more orange juice, bro.
I just got a new computer, so I'm free.
No.
So I think I've heard stuff where maybe we associate too much with the computer aspect of us and not the timeless aspect of it ourselves, that I guess is based in pineal gland or the pineal gland. Have you heard about this as well?
Vaguely. It's touching something up here, but I'm not bringing up any concrete anything.
It's I saw something, I read something where if you asked a spaceman about himself and he started talking about himself like he was a suit, it's similar, it's analogous to a human when he starts talking about himself, talking about his body or his personal life or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's not really him.
Okay.
Or her, or it.
They aren't talking about themselves directly.
Yeah, you're talking about the computer software.
Okay.
Maybe. I don't know.
That makes sense.
Kind of complicated, I guess, and I'm still not sure where I want to go with that, but I guess it's kind of
Yeah. I know, what was it, during the beginning of the cognitive, kind of the very, very beginning of cognitive revolutions, I mean, not including the 30s originals, but in the 50s it was becoming more and more popular to compare humans with computers. And given if you compare some of the more contemporary concepts of memory, it's kind of wrong, because the way we take in memory is different than computers.
It's a lot more complex. I'll agree with that a lot. And I'm taking a class on memory, and
Yeah.
At the same time, though, you could just say our system of memory is just different. I don't know. It's maybe more advanced. I don't know.
It's different.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. And there might be some commonalities. I know if you compare this particular age compared to like when automatons started coming around, people compared themselves to automatons. They might not have focused more on the mind, but they definitely had the idea that gears had to switch over inside of here to change something else. And just now we're trying to say, okay, if this connector is connected to this connector and I activate the first one, what's going to happen with the second one? And do we have to operate like that? And it's yes and no, kind of a hit and miss subject, but you know, there's definitely some analogies that can exist.
Yeah.
But
like it's like if we're operating a human software program, like maybe that's why it's like act like the duck software program.
yeah, I guess you
Chicken
could say
software
that.
program.
Activate your chicken concept.
Your chicken schema. So the next question. This one's kind of esoteric.
Oh God.
Could God or the gods be putting a figurative hypnosis over us all?
Like they're giving us a software program
Or
analogy.
like even like the elites. Like they can use the media to control us and put us in like a proto-hypnosis.
Oh, okay. Like, let's say if I were a person with lots of power in a sense, and let's say I wanted to make smoking meth.
Or even a good one is, could you hypnotize somebody through a television set?
Yeah, like yeah, I'd say yeah. Like again, let's say you wanted to glamorize, smoking marijuana, something really basic. You know, I love college, like that song. Like it definitely creates a schema, and I've been around plenty of people that have been in a situation where it's a little ambiguous as to what they're supposed to do. There's alcohol on a table or something. Maybe they're not over the age of 21. Maybe there's weed around. They're not quite used to that environment. They're just freshmen in college, let's say. Or let's say even sophomores or juniors. Maybe they haven't been around that environment, but when they're there, that like concept's going to come to mind. And if you ask them what are they thinking, they'll say, well, I'm thinking of this song, or I'm thinking of, going hard, that concept. Or I'm thinking of not remembering. Or I'm thinking of, and I mean, they'll be thinking of a schema that's used to defeat an ambiguous situation, which as humans we hate being like, what should I do? So yeah, I would say that there's definitely a high amount of relevance when you create a media that says something like that. Whether or not I'm saying any of those schemas are bad, no, I'm not saying that they're bad or good. I'm just saying they exist and that you can create those for lots of people. So yeah.
Okay. Lost my train of thought. Silicism.
Silicism. Silicism is the idea that it's like kind of like the Matrix in the sense of you don't know what's real and what's not. That also ties into that last one, where like I don't know. I've always the guy that was on the snow and he could hear all the snow. He can only remember that part when I hypnotized him. He cannot remember acting like a Victoria's Secret model. He can't remember acting like Kung Fu Panda. So, but he can remember that, like this being on the snowbank or the snow hill. And I don't know, I think it's kind of an interesting idea where when your physical body is doing something, but you don't remember it, but you're still you still exist and you still feel. Your mind definitely creates your universe within some realm. Like there's no debate about that. You have to perceive and create abstract thoughts of everything first. But like, where can you draw the line of your connection with an existence? Because as far as he could tell, he was on that snow hill.
So is it possible that we're all hypnotized right now and we just don't know it?
Yeah, it's completely possible given, like, maybe I'm just making this shit up. Or somebody told me to make it up. Either way, I probably wouldn't be able to tell.
We could all be hypnotizing ourselves.
Yeah.
Without even necessarily
I've heard of somebody hypnotizing themselves by looking in a mirror and practicing, which is kind of funny.
زين وكيف المثال
Don't wait. Yeah, any other questions?
There's one more. It's just the last one, just to tie everything up. So, what do you think overall hypnosis says about identity?
What does hypnosis say about identity? That
Or personality, even.
personality, identity. That people experience things mentally. There is definitely some like spinal cord action going on, like with reflexes, so on and so forth. That definitely exists. But because we're constantly creating schemas and representations of the world, we kind of experience things with a constant amount of expectations. And because of that, we create, I expect something to happen. If it happens, I might reform my schema, reapply the schema, see what happens, change it again, so on and so forth. So I think that for our identities, we're definitely going off of what we've learned. I mean, classically, like one of the more, recent example is we only understand the world as far as our language allows us. Because I can't think of another language. But I know somebody that, let's say, speaks German and English.
Or Arabic.
Or pick your language. They'll be able to think of the world differently. Because only certain words will match certain thoughts.
Yeah.
I mean, that's, major problem with trying to translate Kant. Is that, are we really hitting on his ideas, or are we just trying to, get the closest we can?
I know German's a really philosophical language. Like, a lot of the
They have a history of that.
big philosophers have written or were German. I just wonder your opinion on, do you think there is, like a stagnant Nick that just exists and never changes? Or do you think identity is kind of free-floating, as in maybe there is a Nick who never changes, but maybe my personality changes around it? Or do you think I actually change
I'd say,
as well?
from any scientific point of view, there is no such thing as a continuous person. Just because we are constantly changing out our cells, we're constantly changing how we behave, we're constantly changing what we've done in the past. That is to say, we're adding more onto the layer of stuff we already have and what we remember. We're constantly forgetting stuff that we've done in the past or having a harder time recalling it.
Yeah, I don't like that thought. It drives me crazy.
Oh, you're going to forget something eventually? Like, consider dementia. Oh my god, when Alzheimer's sets in.
I know I've forgotten a ton in my life, and it just bugs me.
Yeah.
It's if I don't remember it, and no one else remembers it, did it even happen?
I don't know. But, I definitely feel like, so any kind of, scientific evidence of being this definitely occurred, or there's a pretty good evidence saying that this occurred, or that, in this case, is there any significant evidence that's going to show that a person's constantly existing? No, I don't think so. What I do think is that there might be a philosophical debate using language that will explain whether or not, using a sense of logic and rationale, that there is a sense of constant going on.
I remember when I was a kid, I used to worry that every time I blinked, I actually had died, and there was a whole 10 hours of them reviving me somehow. So every time I blinked, I was dead. And, I came back and I was dead, and I came back.
And that's why you blink. Huh. I could see that. Why not? You wouldn't know, respectively.
You wouldn't know. There's no. reason why it couldn't be real.
Yeah, why not? I mean, let's say every time you blink, you go into a different universe, have a completely different life, and then you open your eyes.
And then you're back.
And you're back to this one, depending. I
think that's perfectly reasonable.
Yeah. I do think for the idea of like a person constantly remaining, a potential like area that you could look at would be, let's say you're fourth dimensional and you can look upon a person within a realm of time. Like frames in a movie, if you stack them together, you'd get like everything that this person has done.
I've heard about this as well.
Yeah. But let's say if you were to like look at them really far away, they would look like a dot. But then if you looked at them far away, they would look like this like smear or line. So I'd say that each and every person probably does have a line within this time style idea. Like within time, everyone has their little line that's going on.
Yeah, I'm like that little pinpoint.
That's their little dot, and you're smearing around for however long you're going to exist.
Forever. Depending.
But I mean, if you were to trace all of your atomic molecules, so on and so forth, you could be a really long line.
Remember, I think every human on Earth has a molecule that was in Julius Caesar.
Really? Huh. That'd be cool.
I think it's true. I've heard this.
I think that Julius Caesar doesn't have enough molecules in his body to be in every person.
So just like one molecule. How many molecules does one person have inside them?
A lot. But we're talking a lot of people.
7 billion?
7 billion molecules spread out? I mean, you're hoping that like those molecules are going to travel a good distance. And I feel like you could find like a pretty good, like this sounds like a pretty silly project and a great Facebook post, but come on. You could do it, I guess. You could find out. You could find out the chance that you have one of his molecules.
Probably pretty high. Pretty cool.
I'd be okay with that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you know, this guy right here, a little small, not that one, the other one. But.
Well, that's all the questions I have for you today.
It
was nice you talking to me. And
any final words you'd like to say?
Good night.
Good catchphrase. Yes.
Good luck.
Yeah, give yourself a good luck to making this actually work.